Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2010 Jayco J-Flight 24Rks. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice at the back, that is where you're going to find your spare tire. It's also where you're going to find your exterior shower. That does open up with your standard 751 key that will come included with your unit. In the back corner here, you do get your service port for your hot water heater. The only thing you're really worried about is your 1-inch drain bolt down here in the left-hand corner. And then of course, whenever you first get to your campsite, it's always a good idea to hit that pressure relief valve. There should be a shot of water coming out of there, letting you know that this tank's full. We currently have this tank emptied, ready for customer pickup because it's getting to be the end of the season here, so it's winterized, so there's no water in the tank. That's why there would be no water coming out of there. So it wouldn't be safe to fire up that hot water heater, and you would run the risk of damaging that tank. We don't want to do that. So again, just make sure that you do have water in the tank before trying to fire it, especially on electricity, as it only takes a few seconds for that probe to be out of the water for it to short circuit and cause you $120. Furnace exhaust is down here in that right hand corner. Whenever your furnace is running, it will be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. And then down in the corner here, get your stabilizer jack. There is one in each corner of the unit. Important that you do level the unit before you apply your stabilizer jacks. Once the unit's level, run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot does contact the ground, just give me another 1/8 turn to snug up. It's going to take any bounce or sway you see have it in the unit right now away. In addition to that, if you're running them up or down with an impact, with today's day and age with impacts, they're very powerful. It doesn't take much to bend them, so just keep that in mind. Coax in case you're plugging into any sort of cable or satellite. Fridge service port, not much you need to worry about there. And then you do get your standard 30 amp connection. This cord's about 15 feet long once fully extended, so if you wanted to get a 30 amp extension cord, it might be a good idea. And then we do include a 15 amp park adapter to go down from this 30. Just keep it in mind whenever you are using that, you are going down in power. You won't be able to run something like your air conditioner. It realistically is just to run your fridge and your lights. Fresh water fill, so if you're out boondocking, your campsite doesn't have water, you could just put a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's gonna fill up that fresh tank, and that's what your water pump draws off of. Down below the floor here, that is gonna be the drain for the fresh tank. It's draining out the water, and then you get your 2 low point drains right here. So if you don't want water going stale or stagnant, or you're finishing your winterization process, it's pretty important that you crack these guys open. It's gonna allow most of the fluid out of the lines. You got your city water connection, so if you're at a site with service, you can just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. And then inside this compartment here, in the far right, you do get 2 more low point drains with them pushed down like they are now. They're closed. If you were to pull them open, that would open them up. Another compartment up here, storage. That is where you're gonna find that starter kit. Inside the starter kit, you get a 10-foot sewer hose, 15-foot water hose, and that 15 amp park adapter, which I've already told you about. It also comes with some other miscellaneous goodies. Around the front of the unit, inside that box there is gonna be where your battery is located, and then underneath this one, you're gonna get your 2 standard propane tanks. You can just lift the tank up, lift the cover off, it comes right off. Get 2 propane tanks counterclockwise like any standard barbecue to open them up, and that does open up the flow of propane to the unit. Coming around to the driver's side, again you get another storage compartment. That's just the other side of it. You get your you do get your entryway door for your bedroom. It's a private entryway door. It's a nice little feature. We're not going to be entering through that one today. We're going to be entering through the rear one. And then you get your awning. It's a manual awning. It's pretty basic. Push up on the plastic piece here. Slide this out of the way. You do have to unlock both arms before you try and run it down. At that point, you can go and grab your handle from inside your storage compartment. It's going to be this big long guy here. Hook it into the strap like so. Thread the needle type of deal. Now you got this here. So with it in the position it is now, it's closed. So it's going to be retracting closed. If you push that up like that, that does unlock it and allow it to come down like so. So then you would just pull on it, unravels itself, and you'd be able to pull it right out of the way. Then to bring it down, before you do ever disengage this, just always making sure you do have a hold on that strap, because as soon as you do lift this down, it does start retracting into the unit. If it was fully out and you lifted this down, you slide this down, it's going to retract and slam against the unit, which we don't want. So pulling it down like that, closes against the unit, and then at that point, letting a little bit of a pull, push. That'll allow you to clamp the arms back into place. It is very important that you clamp these arms back into place before travel. That way, even though they shouldn't go anywhere, it's just that little bit of extra. And now for the best part, to get inside. You're just taking that assist handle, pushing it up, holding it 90 degrees. It's going to lock that into place. Then fold down your screws, which just pull towards you. The last one flips down, open up the door. First thing you notice off on the right is that fire extinguisher, which is just like home, pull the pin and shoot. In addition to that, you got a porch light switch, which turns on a porch light outside. Then the one closest to you does some of the main living space lights. Next, you do get your slide out control switch. Now it's always a good measure, just doing a quick visual check inside and out, making sure that there's nothing that's going to hit that slide. You have enough room on the outside of the slide, and on the inside, nothing's shifted during travel. That's going to get caught between the slide out and the wall. Once you do that, you can push that button, and the slide out starts making its way out, and you're going to hear those motors wind up and click as soon as it's at its full extension. And you can just let off the button at that point, and you're good to go. Now, straight off into the main living space, we come to our stove. It's very important it's nice and stove is right here, because I will go over a couple purging notes with you. So whenever you turn the propane off at the front of the unit, or especially disconnect one of the bottles, it allows air into the system. Once the air makes its way in, it does have to be purged out. Quickest, easiest way to do that is by using your stove, and the reason being is you get to decide how long the gas valve runs for and how many sequences you try and light it for. If you went to go to try to fire up your fridge or your water heater, those will only try lighting themselves a couple times, and if they don't sense a flame because they got no gas to them, they could throw a fault code, and if you don't know what the fault code means, it could throw a little wrench into your weekend. But with that being said, if you do go to fire up anything like your furnace, water heater, or fridge on gas and it doesn't fire the first time, always try it a second time. Again, it could just be a purging issue, but you can just eliminate all that just by coming to fire and run up your stove first thing. But before we get to that, we do get our LP detector right here down by the floor. So if you start getting to worrisome levels inside, this guy's going to start going off, but don't panic. It lets you know at a safe level once you're declining, so you can go up to the front of the unit, turn off the main supply at the front, open up some windows and vents, and just get some fresh oxygen inside of here. So coming to our stove, again, it's going to light pretty quickly today just because I had the system running earlier. Sometimes it can take a few minutes, so just be patient with it, but turning it over to the high/light option, and it does fire right on up. Now, because this is a gas stove, it's very important that you are safe while doing so. Kind of trying to hold your face back, and whenever you are running any of these gas valves on, it's very important that you hit that filter every few seconds to avoid a buildup of gas and minor combustion, because if there was to be a minor combustion and your face was nearby, you could lose some eyebrows and eyelashes. Again, that's going to be something we want to avoid. So again, just quickly do it by being safe about it. Next, you do get your oven igniter. Now, unfortunately, today I did forget to bring a lighter with me, so you won't be able to actually light it. But if you just turn that knob over to the pilot option, push and hold the knob in, take your lighter, come to this gas orifice, light that lighter. As soon as that pilot's able to light and stay lit on its own without you holding it on the button, you can turn it up to your desired temperature, and it does fire right on up. Above there, a range hood. I always recommend running a range hood whenever you are running your stove. That way you're evacuating those propane fumes as you make them. And then up top you got your microwave, which again is pretty much just like home. There's not much I really need to show you there. Into the kitchen space, you got your kitchen sink. Tons of storage throughout this unit. Just of course, whenever you are using any of it, being mindful of drains, water lines, and things like that. You're not going to be wanting to affect any of that with your things. Over here, you get your main water area. You got your water pump switch. Turning that on draws out of your fresh tank. And then you get your water heater. You can either fire that with gas or electric. If you do go to fire it up on gas, you're going to turn this switch on. The water heater is going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the third try it doesn't light, this DSI fault light's going to come on. At that point, you do just have to turn it off, give it about a minute, and then try turning it back on, and it will try relighting itself. You got your monitor panel system. Pushing the button tells you the corresponding level. Fridge, again, turning it to that auto option, it's going to first search for shore power. If shore power is taken away, it'll automatically switch over to gas. Of course, it's important that you have your gas on and already purged before you do that. Otherwise, again, you could come to a warm fridge because it failed to light. If you want it to run solely on gas because you're out boondocking, you just have to click it over to the gas option. Again, this is something that's going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, it's probably going to beep at you until you gas check. At that point, turn it off. Again, wait a minute and then try relighting it because it could just be a purging issue. Temperature control for both the fridge and freezer are right here. 5th is obviously the coldest option. It's also going to be the option that gets the fridge the coldest the fastest, just so you know that information. Get it open. You're just pulling on the travel straps and opening it up. Fridge freezer combo. There's not really much I need to show you. But 2 things I need to show you is in this cabinet here. If you you'd have to stick your head in this cabinet and look up. That is where you get access to your bypass valves for winterization for the water heater. And then your water pump is just located right underneath the fridge here. This is the bypass hose. You follow that bypass hose to the valve, turn the valve, then you would just run the antifreeze through all your systems, traps, and all sorts of things like that. Main living space. This does fold out into a bed in case you were to have any extra guests. You just have to pick up at the foot of it, folds down like so. Pick up at the foot of it again, kind of assist at the top, and that folds it back into place. All the blinds in the unit pretty much work the same way. And they just kind of sit where you leave them. In your entertainment center, if you want to put a TV, that would probably be one of the better cupboards to do it in. Just keep in mind the size. It's going to be a smaller TV, but you get your plug. You also get a 12-volt plug in case you had a 12-volt TV. Then you're going to notice this little black button. If you push this black button, it turns your little green light on. That's turning the antenna on in the roof. Now it's also going to improve radio frequency and cell phone frequency, so we typically recommend leaving them on whenever you're using the unit, but just trying to remember to turn it off so it doesn't draw any extra battery power. Stereo, aim, it's going to tell you got A and B speakers. Just one setting, just A. I usually leave it on A and B, just I'm not sure why, but that's what I do. But other than that, it's pretty much your standard stereo. Again, dinette. This can also fold down into a bed. You're just having to remove the feet from underneath the table. Set the tabletop on its desired ledges underneath the cushions, and then you can take your back cushions to fill in the center. Coming a little bit forward, most of the other lights inside this unit are going to be on their own center push buttons, and there's also tons of accent lights like inside the dinette and the slide out here, which do have some extra lighting in case you need that. And then you get your thermostat on your wall here, temperature selection up top, and then you get your fan control. So I'll first go over that just because whenever you're in the auto setting, it's going to be the setting I recommend using, as that it creates an on-demand system for the air conditioner. If you were to have that in high or low, the air conditioner fan will run full time until you actually manually turn it off, and regardless of what you have the room set to. Now it's also going to be important for when you fire up your furnace, because then when you go to fire up your furnace, it's not going to kick in your air conditioner fan when it's in auto. If it's in on, it will. To kick on your furnace, you just have to turn it over to the heat option. If the room was under 70 degrees, it would kick in the furnace. The furnace does only have one fan speed. It runs off propane, so again, purging, it's going to be important. It moves all its air through the floor portals you have throughout the unit. Then to the right of that, left of that, you got off, and then you got fan, which is just moving air around using the air conditioner, no heating or cooling involved. And then one more time, you get to the left, you get the cool. Now that's when the air conditioning takes into effect, and like I said, with it in the auto setting, it's an on-demand system, so once the room senses that temperature, it'll automatically kill the air conditioner. Back over to off to turn it off. Above my head, you do get the air conditioner output. You have a couple different options. You can run these louvers open, in which case it'll dump all its air into the main living space. So I recommend doing that whenever you first get to your campsite. Cool off this main living space. The reason I say that is up here, this is the intake vent for the air. It's going to suck all its air up through here. So if you cool off the main living space first, it just makes it that much easier to push your air throughout the unit. And then to do that, you just close that, and it'll move all its air to the floor, the ceiling ducting you have throughout. This whole left side here is going to be storage, and then on the right, of course, you have your bathroom. Light switch on the wall. Pretty much your standard bathroom. Toilet, sink, things like that. Above my head, you get a little fan. The switch for it is just right here. One thing I did forget to mention at the back of the unit is just breaker panel. Pop that guy open whenever you have a breaker trip. It'll sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All your fuses will be on your left. It's always a good idea to also carry an extra couple fuses with you. You never know when one's going to pop. And when you don't have one, that is the worst time to blow one. Light switch up above the head in the ceiling in the bedroom. Again, they're on their own center push buttons. You already got a TV mounted on the wall here, pre-plugged in, remote on the bed. Again, just pretty much a bedroom inside here. Picking up at the foot of the bed. It does give you access into that front storage compartment. It also gives you a little bonus space here to put any sort of blankets or anything like that. Now that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.